We have a quorum. We will stand to recite the pledge. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us. We will now hear from Dr. Merrill.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board, and the public. Last Thursday, the North Wake College and Career Academy welcomed students for the very first time. The new school provides yet another opportunity for Wake County students to earn both college credit and real-world work experience while in high school. It offers career certification in the program areas of culinary arts, early childhood education, emergency medical science, hospitality management, and information technology. The school hopes to emulate the success of Vernon Malone College and Career Academy while expanding the number of career paths available to Wake County High School students. By the time we meet again as a full board, 3 more schools will be opened: Hortons Creek Elementary in Cary and Rogers Lane Elementary and Riverbend Middle in Raleigh. In all, about 120,000 traditional calendar students will begin the 2017-18 school year on August 28th, joining the roughly 40,000 students already attending classes. The 2017-18 school year is upon us and brimming with opportunities as we prepare students to reach their full potential and lead productive lives in a complex and changing world. A thank you to UNC Rex Healthcare for sponsoring its first Stuff the Bus school supply drive. The event was an unqualified success. More than 7,000 school supplies were collected, including 100 backpacks, 1,400 notebooks, 850 boxes of pencils, and 815 folders and more. All told, there were 120 jam-packed boxes of school supplies stacked upon the seats of a Wake County school bus ready to deliver to our number of schools. UNC Rex Healthcare employees joined with community members to collect the supplies, and a special thank you to Christine Kushner, Roxy Cash, Representative Rosa Gill, who stopped by to show their support. As I've said many times, we cannot achieve the objectives laid out in our Vision 2020 strategic plan without the support of community partners. And did Carrie Heckle and Emily Ziegler sneak in? Mm-hmm. Okay, Rex folks, thank you, thank you, thank you. It was heartening to see one of Wake County's largest employers stepping up to help our students in this way. So thank you to UNC Rex Healthcare and all who made donations. And lastly tonight, I want you to commit 5 words to memory. Quote, "What starts here changes everything," end quote. As part of a new marketing campaign, it's our hope that these 5 words will become a rallying cry for everyone who cares about this school district: parents, students, teachers, principals, elected officials, and every Wake County citizen. Amid the day-to-day challenges of teaching and learning, it's easy to lose sight of the big picture, what we're all working toward. So these 5 words remind us that every day in every single one of our 181 schools, we are doing no less than shaping the future of this county, the state, the nation, and ultimately the world. The following video shows just one example among thousands, but it is a powerful one.
Oh man, that stage is way smaller than I remember. We are at Wake Forest Elementary School because I went here for kindergarten through 5th grade. This is my kindergarten classroom with Miss Gregory. She retired years ago, but she still comes back apparently and substitutes. And in kindergarten, we had career day and I showed up as a teacher. When I was here, it was so big to me, and now it feels so small and so intimate. I literally started here. This is where I started, was in this elementary school. In kindergarten, I walked in, and then it changed everything for the course of my life. 6, 7, 8. I'm now living out the dream that I wanted in kindergarten. I got to be able to turn that dream into reality of learning what it meant to be a teacher. So from so many different teachers that I had, I learned different things, whether it was how to care for a student, how to have high expectations for students, how to be a collaborator within the school with different teachers. I learned that from all my teachers, and so without that, I wouldn't have become the teacher I am today, because I take a little bit of all my teachers into the classroom. I love my job and I love going every day and I love working with my students. Boom, ha! They've shaped my life. They truly have shaped the person that I am. The whole reason I walk into the classroom every day is for my students. I love my students and I love what I do and I love that we get to work together. So as much as they think that I shaped their high school time, they've shaped my entire life.
I am pleased to announce that the 2017-18 Teacher of the Year for Wake County Public Schools, Betsy Graves from Broad Magnet High School.
I would not be the teacher I am today without the experience I had at Wake Forest Elementary and through my time in Wake County. What starts here will change who you become. And I am like living proof that that happens.
What starts here changes everything. Thank you.
Thank you. A great segue to my opening comments. I think it's important to note that we are a huge part of our students' lives, and what we begin and the conversations we have with them does shape their lives and does change their lives. And I would be remiss to not talk about what is happening in our society today. And everybody knows it as hashtag Charlottesville and the impact that that has on our kids. And we talk often about social and emotional well-being. In my work, we talk about trauma and how your body holds trauma. And images actually indicate the trauma triggers in the brain, but also physically in your body. And I bring that up because all of our students, those that have already started school and those who will start on August 28th, have been inundated with images from Charlottesville. Whether they can actually understand the impact of racism, hatred, and violence is still yet to be determined for our younger students. But for all of our students, those images are clear to them. Those images are images of people who are angry, who are expressing motion through their face, but also through their physical bodies. And we all know, especially any of us who've been around children, is they can pretty much read your body language as well. So you don't actually have to say hateful things for kids to understand that what you are emoting has an emotion attached to it, and whether it's a good one or a bad one. And I bring that up because indeed what starts here changes everything. And we've talked about Dr. Merrill and his leadership team have been very diligent addressing race with our principals and our leadership in our schools after the incidents last year. And I think this and what's happening, and will continue to happen, quite frankly, across our country, is important for us to know how we talk to our kids. For those of you who love social media, there's lots of conversation starters for people who haven't talked to their kids. But I also think adults should take a look at some of those things. Some of those things are very simple. Say something. Don't let your privilege or your ability to be perfect allow you to be silenced, because silence is seen as complicit. Silence is seen for many people in times of hate and racism as I'm okay with it, I just won't say anything. And I know it's difficult to find the words, but I encourage people to find the words to talk to their friends and their loved ones. And the language that I've been leaving with my staff and the folks I work with across the state is the only thing that overcomes any type of hate, including racism, is love. And love, there are several forms of love. And so what I say to my friends and my colleagues, that you love them and hold them dear so that we all remain healthy while we're being inundated by the images of hatred and vitriol and racism, but that you love the people who are close to you. But then you also love with accountability. And for those people who are not stepping up, who are afraid to have these conversations, that you hold them accountable with love. And you gently say, hey, it's really important to me as a person of color to hear you say that you understand and acknowledge what's happening and the impact that it's having on all types of folks who are impacted by that. And not just black and brown people are impacted by what's happening. Everyone is being impacted by those images. And so that's my words of encouragement for us. And so for me, I feel like what I say does start some change and hopefully some momentum as we begin and kick off our final calendar, traditional calendar. All of our kids will be in school in the next week and a half. And whether they say it out loud or not, those things are sitting with them in their seats. And it's just a reminder of why we talk about the need for more adults and specialized adults like counselors in our buildings, because our kids are coming to school with those images in their head and those triggers that we don't know what those triggers are, but they play out in our classroom. And so, again, I'm reminding you to love the people you're close to and also lovingly hold them accountable for how we speak out about this and how we talk about the impact. I just visited the new African American Museum with my daughter, who I mentioned had to stop and listen and read everything. And the thing, again, that she said to me on Sunday was, so, Mom, are we just repeating what I just saw happen even before you were born? And as a parent, guess what I had to say? Yes, we are. And so we are indeed touching and changing the lives of young people, and they are the change that we've been waiting on. But we will miss that opportunity if we don't have the hard conversations with them. So I encourage all of us to engage in those hard conversations with our young people and remind them, which are words that I used to the young women at the opening of the Wake Young Women's Leadership Academy, is you're enough. You're born enough. And anything that happens doesn't negate the fact that you are already enough. Life experiences only enhance who you are, but it doesn't make you. And so you're already born with a clean slate, loving every person. And it is up to us to ensure that our young people hold that near and dear to them, and that they don't allow the hate to come in, but that we're actually opening them up for only love and lightness. And those are the words, ironically, that I spoke to our Wake Young Women prior to Charlottesville. And I actually got several emails from both parents and the dean of students saying this was very timely. And we're talking about it, and teachers have it written on their board to remind our kids, regardless of what they look like and who they are and where they come from, they're already enough. And it is up to us to show them that they're already enough in the ways that we love them. So I talked a lot longer than I did, but it's important for me to hold this space because, again, one of the things about having privilege and being chair, I'm taking a point of privilege to spend this time to talk about how I feel that we lead as Wake County Public Schools, and that is through love and teaching our kids that they are already enough, no matter who they are. Thank you. Ms. Kushner.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And one of the great things about going to the Rex UNC Stuff the Bus was Carrie told me about the pre-K kids that they had on their campus walk to the bus. They sensed that excitement of starting their new career as kindergartners, and they were jumping up and down on the bus and so excited to see a big yellow school bus and see those school supplies. So that the promise of our kids as they come to us, for us to hold them tight with love and also make sure that we get our teachers and our classrooms what they need as we begin this school year. So good luck to everyone as we begin the new school year.
Mr. Sutton.
Just appreciate your words. Thank you for those. And so I'm just going to say loving all children, and thank you for your words of encouragement and wisdom.
Thank you. First, I'd like to thank and acknowledge the Cary Chamber of Commerce, who hosted quite a number of us for the leadership dinner last week. Always a good opportunity to engage with other leaders in the community. Last time we met, I came in a little bit frazzled. I was right in the middle of the professional development that I run with high school chemistry teachers. After last meeting, I had one more session with different teachers. Great opportunity, and I tell you what's more fun than being a teacher is teaching teachers, because you actually, whenever I teach, I learn through the process, but it's just a wonderful opportunity to work with both our teachers and teachers from across the state, and that's always rewarding. Thank you, Madam Chair, for your comments, and I also want to reflect a little bit on the mess that we're in again. How do you respond? You respond by at least acknowledging there's no magic solution, but standing up and saying there is a different way. I struggle with some vocabulary that I hear about, uniting and coming together, because to be honest, what we've seen is elements of our society that I will not unite with and I will not come together with. I will not come together with hate. I will not come together with intolerance. And I think it reminds me a little bit of what I often say: I don't believe in compromise, I believe in collaboration. Because if I have an extreme and I compromise, I get a really messed up combination of two extremes. Collaboration says, let's bring our best ideas and build. And I think that's where what we have to do today in this conflicted situation. I don't want to just unite. I don't want to just compromise. I want to build something new, and that is that more perfect union that was promised and dreamed about long ago and needs to be promised and dreamed about today. In each of our schools, I'd like to remind us what the drama students at Enloe shared with us when they came some time ago, and that was a request to not even necessarily initiate the conversation, but to give space for the conversation, to acknowledge that the events impact, the students said, our learning, our lives, our existence. Sometimes as the teacher, you feel like you need to direct, you need to say. But they reminded us that sometimes we just need to acknowledge and give space. And so I encourage teachers that if you don't know what to do, if nothing else, acknowledge and give space. Because what starts here does change everything. It can change for the better, and it can change for the worse. And our job is to create that environment that changes toward that more perfect union that we've got to continually work to create. Thank you.
Thanks. Mr. Agee. Thanks. Ms. Hornstein.
I have several things that I'm reflecting on, and it's the start of a new year. This is the second time I don't get to, in, gosh, almost 40 years, start school. With children coming into the door, so excited to be there. And our teachers are working so hard. They've been there since July, those that are in our year-round, and then those that are starting I keep calling it the 25th, but it's not.
28th.
28th, right. And I am especially excited this year because the last of my 4 grandsons starts kindergarten, and I'm bowing out and letting his parents take him. I'm not happy about that. But the excitement that is in our schools is pretty overwhelming sometimes on that first day. And with us concentrating on what starts here changes everything, that first day can change the life of a lot of kids. And when that kindergartner walks in, or that 9th grader walks in, they're all walking into new environments, or that senior walking into their last year in Wake County Public Schools. What happens to them that year can mean everything. And so I challenge our teachers and our administrators to remember to tell our students how wonderful they are, how capable they are, how hard the work may be, but that they have a special place. If we continue to tell that story over and over, we are going to get to the point where we don't have Charlottesville. We see each other for who we are, just like each other. So I'm also wanting to say today that the administrators' sessions that we started off in August with our principals and assistant principals was magnificent. Dr. Merrill, to your staff who worked diligently on the commitment to bring such a national speaker in flipping. I know, I keep to speak to us and to inspire us is something I hope that we will review and look at his video again, because it's a great reminder, particularly on the days when life is difficult and hard, to remember the purpose of why we're here and how we're educating our children. And that as we walk into our schools, I hope we see this year some of the fattest hippos we have ever seen. I never thought I'd say that fat was great, but fat is really good in a hippo.
I know. They can watch the video. They're all online.
Yes, watch the video, and you will see that. So I thank the staff for all of their efforts to bring that. I have participated in Wake County's administrator kickoffs for many, many years. This was the best ever. It was exactly what we needed and exactly at the right time. And so if our focus can continue going, it will be an amazing year, because it's not just that classroom. It's what happens at this board table. It's at whatever we do. It's all about the students and about their learning. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Mahaffey.
We are moving along. Hortons Creek has been able to move in well before the start time. I'm sure those teachers would love a little more time to get their school together. We got a week and a half. Every time, it's said ad nauseum, but it's true. It takes a village. It takes teachers. It takes administrators. It takes the people that are here. It takes parents. Parents need to reach out and make a connection to those teachers, and the teachers need to build relationships with those students. And when we see things like Charlottesville happen, sometimes we worry, as Chair Johnson-Hustler said, to find the right words. And there are no right words. The right words are sharing your feelings and listening to your students and validating their feelings and hearing them. Hatred, bigotry, racism, misogyny, they have no place in our schools. If we don't let our students know that there's no space for hate in our schools, and that they are loved and cared for, we can't meet our mission and we can't meet our vision. And, the teacher in me always brings it back to the curriculum. And there is no curriculum for these hard conversations. They're uncomfortable, but they're meant to be. But our vision for Wake County Public Schools, and it's right here on our website, just click this orange button, is that all Wake County Public School System students will be prepared to reach their full potential and lead productive lives in a complex and changing world. And it's not that they'll graduate from high school and tick off the boxes and meet their requirements. It's that they will meet their full potential. And if we have barriers in the way that stop kids from doing that, we're not meeting our goal. And so I am hopeful and optimistic that with the resources that we have, we'll be able to do that for our students. I know we had to make some big cuts, but we're going to keep asking, because these are things that are important, and these kids do not come back to us to repeat kindergarten when they're out of college or in the workforce. We can't do it again. Full potential. So thank you.
Thanks. Ms. Cash.
I'm not going to try to expound upon what you guys have done. You guys have done a great job of talking about how we need to be better and do what we need for the children in our schools, support them, all children. I do thank you as well for the leadership. That flip was wonderful, and I hope that everybody shares that with their teachers and staff, like you were hoping they are at the beginning of the year, because he just made my life better that day, and I can't say more than that. I again want to thank Rex. You guys were great that day. I felt a little bad because I showed up towards the end of the day, got on a bus, had a picture taken like I did something, and then I actually posted it and told everybody I didn't do anything like that. But it was amazing how everybody came out there, and I appreciate our support in the communities. Having worked in hospitals all my life, it makes me proud to see a hospital step up and do that. And so I do want to mention out there that day we also had a really good bus driver. Frank Simpson was there. He was our bus driver, and he was standing out in the heat. But there was also the OM. He called himself the Broughton Man, Martin Horton. He is the operating manager of the buses coming out of Broughton. So he was as well there all day and was kind of a cheerleader. So again, though, thank you to the Rex. I got to see them out there that day, and again, I appreciate that.
Mr. Fletcher.
I'll simply say what starts here changes everything.
What a great note to start and end on, Mr. Fletcher. Thank you. I will now entertain a motion to accept our agenda.
Motion to approve tonight's agenda. Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please note by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Hearing none, motion carries. Thank you all very much. Let's see. Last time I missed that we had a person. This time I did not. We do still have one tonight. Citizens who've signed up to address the board during public comment will be called on in priority order, first for items on the agenda and then for items not on the agenda. Each individual speaker will be allowed 3 minutes for remarks. Specific personnel or student matters are not appropriate for this public comment setting, but may be addressed through applicable WCPSS personnel, the grievance policy, or other applicable policies. Tony Lewis.
First, let me say thank you. Again, my name is Tony Lewis. I'm from over at Sanderson High School, athletic director and teacher over there. And off script, which is dangerous, I would like to tell you, when you talk about working with kids and crossing some of those barriers, to me, there's no better place to do that in the realm of athletics.
Indeed.
And I think of just the other day, and on a very personal note, I was walking out onto the football field, and there was an African-American gentleman that I coached last year, and he was in the middle of a drill and come running over and just embraced me, gave me a big hug, and said, "Coach, I love you, been thinking about you, I hope you had a great summer," and that was it, and he took back off. But that says a lot, because that doesn't always happen in what I would call the real world.
That's right.
And so that's something that's on the side, although I believe in athletics, and it's one of the benefits that come from working in athletics. I do want to thank you. I know you have a tremendous just situation in front of you of trying to decide with budgets and what to cut and what to add. And I want to say on behalf of all the coaches, department chairs, leaders of different clubs and everything, and for what you've done over the last 3 years and with Extra Duty. And I appreciate that greatly, and I know that they do as well. When there was questions about whether it would remain or exist, it reminded me, it was about 25 years ago when a situation came up like this. There was a similar plan that was in place, and they decided to put a freeze on it. And it was about 25 years later when you made the decision to putting pay raises back in place. And that means a lot to a lot of people. That first year phase that went in, there was about 30 or 40% of my coaching staff that didn't get a raise, just the way the implementation was going. And so last year was the first time they saw that. And so I know as we move forward and your commitment to it and that 5-year plan, we as ADs, as we're hiring people and we're working with young coaches, young men and women that are coming into the field, it makes it much easier for us. Not so much that we can say that there's this tremendous amount of money that they're going to make, but it shows an appreciation. And that's really what it comes down to, is that they're appreciated, they respect it, and they want to be in this field, and they want to be able to cross a lot of boundaries that can't be crossed in the classroom. And so, again, we thank you very, very much for that. On behalf of all those people, I do want to thank you. I appreciate the time that you put into it. I appreciate you being willing to continue to work on that plan that is a 5-year phase in. It does not go unnoticed. And there are very many people that are very grateful. And I will say that affects a large diversity of people, from if it's coaching, if it's band, if it's the PLT leaders, the department chairs. And again, I know that's my time. I thank you very much for your time this evening.
Thanks. Is there a motion to approve the consent items?
Motion to approve consent as listed?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please note by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Hearing none, the motion passes. Thank you. We actually, I want to remind you all that we do have 2 action items, so I will first, as Ms. Kathy Moore comes up for academic advancement, ask for a motion to approve the HR items that were already discussed in closed session.
To approve the HR items as reviewed in closed session.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please note by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Thank you. Ms. Moore.
Good evening, Chair Johnson Hostler, Superintendent Merrill, and board members. I am bringing this evening a request for board approval to an updated timeline for changes for the 2018-19 school year for our families to request a change in school assignment. We went over the changes to the timeline 2 weeks ago in work session. We brought it back again today. There is some considerable feedback that board members have provided that we are looking into in terms of the actual processes of implementing the timeline, and we'll bring more information back to the board on that. The approval this evening is for the timeline changes, so we can go ahead and get some communication going to our families and work with our developers on the major components of the timeline changes.
Okay.
Happy to answer any questions.
Make a motion to approve the updated school application transfer timeline for the 18-19 school year.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Ms. Kushner.
Thank you, Chair Johnson Hostler. I just wanted to say it bears repeating, Ms. Moore, that given that the request for school transfer is being moved from May to February 20th through March 6th, I just hope that we communicate that and repeat that for our parents. I think there'll be a improved process in having that earlier in the year, but given that it's a big change, we're going to
It is a big change,
sure
and we
communicate
have
that.
heard loud and clear the need to ensure that we have strong communication through multiple venues to ensure that our families understand it. But it is also, as you just said, responsive to our families who want to have this information earlier.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Hearing no other further discussion, all in favor, please note by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Hearing none, the motion passes.
Thank you.
We have no further action items. I'll entertain a motion to go back into closed session.
Make a motion to return to closed session for the items previously stated
And on the printed agenda.
and on the printed agenda.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please note by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. The motion passes. We'll now go resume closed session. Thank you. Sorry. That's my new thing. The thing gets to turn on and off the thing. Thank you so much, Chair.